Hey y'all! Pokemon Red, using only one Moltres, was finger-licking good! So this week, let's finish playing with the trio of legendary birds. I'm gonna beat Pokemon Red using only one Zapdos! As usual, the rules are we can only use one Zapdos in battle, and I can't use any items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Zapdos is the third of the legendary birds from the first generation of Pokemon. I guess you could say we saved the best for last, or maybe not, who knows, I'll never tell. If you've seen any of the art for my channel, then it shouldn't be a surprise to know that Zapdos is my favorite of these three birds. I distinctly remember stumbling upon the power plant as a child with absolutely no idea what to expect, and all of a sudden, finding a magnificent Thunderbird. As for the viability of this Pokemon in a solo challenge, I'm a little split. On the one hand, Zapdos has two really powerful same-type attack moves in Thunderbolt and Drill Peck, coming off of 125 special and 90 attack respectively. It's also got 100 base speed, so it can hit really fast and really hard. On the other hand, it has absolutely no offense in the presence of ground rock types, but thankfully this game doesn't have many of those. Well, I imagine this one's going to be an all-out sprint with a few major hurdles to overcome. Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Oak's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Squirtle with Zapdos so that our rival will pick Bulbasaur. Yes, Bulbasaur is weak to flying, but by the end of the game, Bubs' Charizard or Blastoise would both be weaker to our much stronger Thunderbolt, so I'm picking the path of most resistance. Zapdos is an electric bird known for its powerful wings that discharge thunder, so I nickname ours Flappin' Zap. Zapdos starts off with two moves, Thunder Shock and Drill Peck, so it's our best flying move paired with our second best electric move right off the bat. After the rival Bubs challenges us to a battle, we get to pummel him with those moves. One Drill Peck, and it's all over. So, I guess there's not much else to say about it. Hey, I did switch our move order, so that's pretty nifty. Yeah, not much else to say, so despite Bubs' futile resistance, I guess I'll be my way. I'm so glad I paid for engineering school just to make these kinds of jokes. Having beaten Bubs, I head through Viridian Forest and make my way to the Pewter City Gym. I thought that we could use a few extra levels for Brock, so I made sure to battle the bug catchers in the forest for some easy extra experience. And by the time I challenged Brock, we're at level 10, but even so, it's kind of rough. Remember that thing I said about ground rock types? Yeah, we have two attacks, one to which they are immune, and the other they resist. Thankfully though, we're still a legendary Pokemon with a decent attack stat, and with some occasional critical hits, we do pretty well. 100 base speed means that we critical hit roughly 20% of the time, which is pretty dang good. And with that, Zapdos manages to make it all the way to the Onix and even take out half of its health. But we lost. So this would have been so much easier if Thundershock could actually damage Onix, but I guess our bird's electricity is too swallow voltage. Okay, on the second go-round, we managed to make it to the Onix with significantly more health. Also of importance is the fact that Onix goes for the move Bide. It deals back double the damage the user takes in a 2 to 3 turn period, and normally I would dodge this by spamming status moves. We don't have any of those, but we do have Thundershock, which can't deal any damage, so that's kind of just as good. And with that, we're able to shock Brock's rock socks off, even though his ground types are immune to electricity the way Germans are immune to humor. Or as I like to call it, the 9-volt. After traversing Mount Moon, it's now time to take on the Cerulean City gym leader Misty and her whack water types. And normally, Starmie can be a real pain because it hits super hard with Bubble Beam. But not this time. Instead, this time, however, I intentionally used Drill Peck instead of the super effective Thundershock. What's going on? Am I choking? Why would I do such a thing? Well, the answer may surprise you. I am trying to artificially lengthen this battle so that I don't have to speed up the footage super fast just to cram it all in. You could say I'm flapping my gums. After mashing Misty at the Cerulean Gym, it's time to take down the rival Bubs just north of the city on Nugget Bridge. And speaking of nuggets, Bubs drops faster than one in the toilet the morning after Taco Tuesday, or as I like to call it, Wet Wipe Wednesday. But seriously, each of Bubs' Pokemon gets knocked out in a single hit. This 9-volt chicken ain't messing around. Zapdos, more like not gonna take any more of your crapdos. After beating the rival Bubs, we head down to Vermilion City and hop aboard the SS Anne to take on the rival Bubs. It's a back-to-back Bubs battle. It's also a back-to-back flap attack. Zapdos once again takes down each of Bubs' Pokemon in a single hit. I mean, granted, there were some critical hits in there, but that's all a part of the game, baby. Crits are a stupid mechanic in this generation, but hey, you know what they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. And you know I got that swagnetism. While we're in town, I decide to take on Lieutenant Surge at the Vermilion City Gym. Drill Peck is our strongest move here, even though it's resisted. But Surge never really stood a chance anyways. Yeah, there's not a ton to say about this battle, except of course for the obvious oddity that some random 10-year-old country bumpkin rolled up into the electric gym and beat up a decorated veteran with a literal bird of legend. That's enough to cause anyone to panic. So it's understandable that Surge has beak TSD. After crawling through the darkened rock tunnel, I arrive in Lavender Town to take on the rival Bubs in the Pokemon Tower. He's got some new Pokemon on his team like the Growlithe and the Gyarados, but nothing can stand in our way now that we have Thunderbolt. We used the TM that we got from Lieutenant Surge on our electric chicken, and seriously, Zapdos comes flying off the top ropes and takes down Bubs' whole team in a spectacle fit for WWE SmackDown. Or as I like to call it, Monday Night Caw! We've beaten Bubs, and now it's time to take on the Grass-type gym leader in Celadon City. Having Drill Peck here is super great because all of her Pokemon resist our fanciest new toy Thunderbolt. But Zapdos 1-hit KOs the Victory Bell, and even the highly defensive Tangela. But somehow the Vileplume survives? Well, it misses a Sleep Powder, and thank goodness. Well, I guess not really, because after all, what is it gonna do? Like, nothing? We double resist grass moves, and it's a friggin' plant. But still, it wouldn't be good to lose here. After all, it's all about keeping up appearances. After eradicating Erica, I head to the game corner to take on Giovanni in the Team Rocket hideout. This battle is a lot like Brock, but somehow it's not nearly as difficult. Sure, Giovanni's Onix and Rhyhorn don't take much from Drill Peck, but they take enough. Onix's Rock Throw, well, it hurts, but not really. And also it misses all the time. And once we knock out the Rhyhorn, it's basically over. The Kangaskhan goes down to a single Thunderbolt. And seriously, Kangaskhan, you couldn't last even a little bit? Talk about a two-flap chap. Now it's time to take on Koga at the Fuchsia City Gym. I could have gone to the Silph Company building first, but I chose to come here instead to get the Soul Badge so that we can get the badge boost for speed. Not that we're going to be manipulating additional badge boosts or anything. No, I just want to ensure that we outspeed Bubs' Alakazam when we get to the Silph Company building. It's really the only thing that poses a threat to us, certainly much more of a threat than Koga. In fact, I was so preoccupied that I forgot to mention Koga. Well, there he is. Gone too soon, like dust in the wind. Although, if we're talking about wheezing, it's more like a fart that follows everywhere you go. It's kind of like being cursed by a stench that you can't get rid of, no matter how hard you try. The smell is albatrocious. Yeah, bet you didn't know they taught us British literature in engineering school, huh? Now that we finally have the Soul Badge to boost our speed stat, I head to Saffron City for yet another rival battle with Bubs in the Silph Company building. He's got a full team of Pokemon, but only 2 of them really matter. The rest of them go down in a single hit for sure, so it all comes down to the Alakazam. With our speed boost, we do in fact outspeed, and we do in fact take it down in one hit. Thank goodness, because a critical hit Psychic would have been very bad. Venusaur does manage to survive a Drill Peck, and then does absolutely nothing. Well, Venusaur is about as useful as an amateur all-star athlete, or as I like to call them, AAA. Well, Bub sure was easier than I expected, but now we have to take on Giovanni once again. I really didn't expect all that much of a struggle from him, but he actually put up one heck of a fight. I can't use Thunderbolt for several of his Pokemon, the most crucial of which is his last, Nidoqueen. We get hit hard with a critical hit body slam and even get paralyzed. And we're super lucky that we didn't get fully paralyzed, and also that Giovanni resorts to scratches instead of additional body slams. Well, that one was actually pretty close. Let's just totally pretend like this was all a part of my carefully curated plan, which is probably why they call me the Sparkitect. At this point, the next place I have to go is right next door to take on Sabrina, the Psychic Gym Leader. Not really sure how this one will go since we have pretty high special, but so do her Pokemon. But also they have low defense, and we've got pretty good attack. Well, turns out Drill Peck is an incredible move as it makes short work of all of her Pokemon. My only real concern is the fact that Alakazam has super high special and speed, meaning it has a higher chance to land a critical hit Psychic for a ton of damage. Well, unless we critical hit the dang fox first. Well, in the end I guess turnabout is fair play. Although some people might find it to be rude, or as I like to call it, uncouth. Now there's nothing left to do but surf down to Cinnabar Island to take on the Fire-type Gym Leader Blaine so that we can get the Volcano Badge, which will boost our special. And speaking of special, ours is already pretty high. You can tell because Blaine's Fire-type attacks aren't doing very much damage at all. We even get trapped for a time by Rapidash's Fire Spin, which can sometimes be scary, but not today. Thunderbolt cleaves through Blaine's blazing bozos and even takes down the Arcanine in just 2 hits. Blaine may be the Flame Master, but we're the ones roasting his team with our Phoenix. Now it's time for the final showdown with Giovanni for our final gym badge. For the first time in forever, I'm actually in a bit of a bind. I needed some way to do meaningful damage to Giovanni's Pokemon, so I came up with a plan. I gave a Pokédoll to the copycat girl in Saffron City so I could get the TM for Mimic. With it, Zapdos is able to copy the move Dig from Giovanni's Dugtrio. Now we could hit Giovanni's last 3 Pokemon for super effective damage. Or we could, had Dugtrio not landed the most detrimental sand attack of all time. We just keep on missing. Great. And we take multiple Tail Whips from Nidoqueen, which are great for the additional badge boost to our attack stat, until we level up during the battle, which resets all of those additional boosts. So ultimately, our defense was lowered so much that Nidoking and Rhydon smash us with their physical attacks, and we lose. We lose. I'm sorry. Did we just lose to Giovanni? Mega what? After a couple more tries, I managed to get back with plenty of health left over and far more Dig PP. I remind you all that in this game, Dig is as strong as Earthquake, which is really nice considering Rhydon has the highest overall defensive bulk in the game. And with it, we're able to take it out in just 3 hits. And there's no need to question at all the logistics of how a handless bird made of electricity is able to dig underground in the first place. I guess it must really be grounded. Before we can take on the Elite Four, we have to battle the rival Bubs once again. I'm readying myself for a long and grueling series of attempts, mostly because of the Alakazam. Now I know, I've said that before and it wasn't an issue, but that's mostly because we both outsped and then got a lucky critical hit before anything bad could happen to us. So this time, Alakazam moves first and slams us with a critical hit Psychic for the 1-hit KO. Which wouldn't have happened if I had copied Pidgeot's agility with Mimic and raised our speed. So, what was I thinking? What was my reasoning? Honestly, I just made a mistake. Shocking, I know. But then again, why are you surprised? After contemplating my mistakes in life, I decided to just keep trying and see if we get better luck. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, as Zapdos gets the 10% confusion chance from Psybeam. Alakazam, though, wastes its chance to knock us out by using Reflect, and we miss our chance to retaliate by smacking ourselves in the beak. But we finally knock it out, and last up is Venusaur. And and once again, we hit ourselves in confusion. But Venusaur misses the chance to knock us out by raising its special with growth. We finally snap out of confusion, but Drill Peck doesn't get the knockout. However, once again, Venusaur goes for another growth, just handing us the victory. Hey, speaking of victory, we're now off to Victory Road, which really is more like Victory Cave. There's not much decoration, but the cool ambiance is fantastic. Alright, it's time to take on the Elite Four. But first, here are the stats and moves. Zapdos is level 45, and just look at those stats. The special is particularly tasty, but the rest of the stats are also pretty great too. You really can't ask for much more. As for the moves, it's the same old, same old. I could definitely replace Thundershock with something better, but nah. After all, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Instead, let's maintain the static quo. First up is Lorelei, with a team of Ice-type Pokemon. Well, several of them are also part Water types, so that's really nice for our Thunderbolt. The first three of Lorelei's dang Pokemon go down easily. Heck, I even get to use a Thundershock to save a Thunderbolt Beepy, and that's pretty cool. The problems arise once we get to the Jinx. We get a lucky critical hit, but it also rocks our world with a super strong Ice Punch. And we're really low on health, and I know Lapras will survive a Thunderbolt and KO us with Blizzard. Or at least that would have happened had we not gotten yet another critical hit. That timing was almost too perfect, like the Thunderbolt was drawn to Lapras. Seems unfair. Kinda like Lorelei got the Lightning Rod deal. With Lorelei defeated, it's time to take on Bruno. After beating Lorelei, I really don't expect much from the moronic Musclehead, but actually, he was kind of a problem. His lead Onix not only has high defense and resists Drill Peck, but it can boost its defense with Harden. Well, that's alright because we can also boost our defense with its Harden. Cool, right? So it's a battle to see who can get harder. Pause. But unfortunately, we're running out of steam. We use up a ton of Drill Pecks, and now we're on the last leg of our Beepy. Pause. The fighting types Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee only take a Drill Peck each, thankfully, but then there's another Onix. Oh geez, would you look at that? We're doing next to no damage, and would you look at that? We're all out of PP. Okay, nothing to do but wait to get knocked out and try again. Well, that's a pretty sad state of affairs. Talk about squawkward. After several more tries, I managed to make it to the second Onix with plenty of Drill Peck PP. This was mostly due to the first Onix not using as many Hardens and also a few lucky critical hits. This time around, we don't have much trouble with the Solid Snake, and we take it down in no time. All that's left is the Machamp. It survives Drill Peck and uses an X-Defend. Even with that though, it goes down to another hit, so not exactly a great idea, Bruno. You'd be better off licking the third rail, which is a bad transistor of thought. $125,000 for an engineering degree, people. Now it's time for the Elite Four member Agatha, the geriatric ghost trainer. This battle is always a fun time. Not. Her ghosts have high special, which is bad when our strongest attack is Thunderbolt. Hey, at least we have Drill Peck, which is still pretty good. In fact, it looks like it's a 2-hit KO. But we get confused and smack ourselves in confusion. But also, Gengar hits the 1 in 256 chance to miss Nightshade, which is supposed to be 100% accurate. After hitting ourselves in confusion again, we take a Nightshade proper and then take down the Gengar. Thunderbolt is a 1-hit KO on the Golbat. I mean, why wouldn't it be? And Haunter doesn't faint to Drill Peck, but Agatha's cheating Super Potion actually helps us since she never gets to go for an attack, so cool. Arbok comes out and gets taken down by a critical hit, and then Gengar takes another consecutive critical hit after missing a Toxic. So, all in all, it was pretty dicey at points, but that was in fact a first try victory against an otherwise normally nauseating trainer. Seriously, historically I hate how she's always trying to obstruct us from having a free and fair battle. Or as I like to call it, electron interference. Next up is the final Elite Four member, Lance the Dragon Master, and he's actually even harder to beat than you might expect. It might surprise you to find out that his Dragonair are actually the big baddies here. They take neutral damage from our attacks, are bulky enough to survive them, and they both have the crazy strong move Hyper Beam. One Hyper Beam isn't too terrible, but 2 Hyper Beams when the second one is a critical hit is bad news bears. So we end up with only 2 HP left, and unfortunately for us, a level 60 Aerodactyl outspeeds a level 49 Zapdos, even with a badge boost to speed and stat experience. So, time to try again. Honestly, I can't even be mad. That's just bad or reasonable. On the next go-round, I make sure to prepare for the Aerodactyl accordingly. After the first Dragonair takes a recharge turn from using Hyper Beam, I make sure to copy Agility with Mimic. Then, I get a couple of Agility boosts to raise our speed before the Aerodactyl comes out. 1 would have been sufficient, but I went for 3, mostly to get additional badge boost to our other stats, which was a mistake since we were already going to 1-hit KO the prehistoric Pratt with Thunderbolt, but it did give us other Dragonair multiple opportunities to land Dragon Rages. So, we're low on health, and here comes the Dragonite. We land a critical hit for what I later realize is a low damage roll, and Dragonite just goes for agility. I realized that the first critical hit was a low damage roll because our follow-up Thunderbolt is not a crit and did almost as much damage as the crit one did. Alright, well, it all worked out, so what a coincidence. Or as I like to call it, a zappy accident. Finally, it's time to take on the champion, our rival Bubs. I know the biggest roadblocks are going to be the Alakazam and the Rhydon because the former hits hard, while the latter can get hit hard. After knocking out the Pidgeot, I use Mimic on Alakazam to try to copy Psychic so I can hit the Rhydon with a special attack and bypass its high defense, but the 10% Psybeam Confusion chance strikes again and we beak slap ourselves to boot. By the time we actually get to Mimic, I go for Recover because at that point it's our only possible win condition, but it's a little too late. That ship has sailed. Or as I like to say, the genie is out of the waddle. On the second go around, I get much better luck against the Alakazam, except this time I also Mimic Recover instead of Psychic. Not sure exactly what I was thinking there, but whatever. We end up having a long and protracted standoff with the Rhydon as a result, when 2 Psychics would have probably taken it out. So no idea why I did that, and I guess we'll never know. After all, I recorded the footage for this like a full 7 months ago, and it's taken me this long to get around to finish producing the video. Life's gonna life, am I right? During the process of knocking out the Rhydon, we take a ton of defense drops, meaning all of our other stats get badge boosted in the process. So now our attacks are really cooking with gas. Gyarados goes down in a single hit, and even Arcanine goes down in 2 Thunderbolts. Naturally, Venusaur takes a ton from Drill Peck, but it's 14 levels higher, so I didn't expect a 1-hit KO. But it might as well have been one because it goes for Solar Beam. And that move is really bad. And thanks to the turn that it takes to charge, we knock it out with another Drill Peck. And Bubs really trapped himself there against our bird. I guess you could say he was pigeonholed. And with that, the challenge is over. Despite one notable hurdle in the way of ground rock types, Zapdos is truly an incredible Pokemon in this game. I mean, seriously, without any major badge boosting capability, this bird beat the Elite Four at only level 51. Now that's the stuff of legends. Speaking of which, Zapdos will always be my favorite legendary bird. Way more than Articuno, and way more than Moltres. Many people prefer the latter, but I'll stick with the Transformer. As always, I want to thank you all for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can check out the rest of my Pokemon Challenge videos as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want access to a bunch of my past challenge videos ad-free, consider becoming a member or joining on Patreon. And let me know in the comments what other Pokemon you want to see, and I might do it. Next time, I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Red using only one Mew. Alright, until next time,